Okay, so we are continuing in slope-intercept form. Today's lesson, my turn. Today's lesson is harder, okay? So I need you to take what you learned yesterday and apply it to what we're gonna do today. But really pay attention, really ask questions if something isn't making sense, like immediately, so that we get it, okay? So for this one, it says, what equation in slope-intercept form, remember this is slope-intercept form, y equals mx plus b, represents the line that passes through these 2 points, okay? Now, the book is just gonna ask you that question and be done. They're not gonna give you these steps. This was just the way I laid it out for you so that you realized, okay, when they ask me this question, here are the things I need to do. But just know that in the homework, they're not gonna do this, so you might wanna have your notes in front of you and think, okay, well, first I need to find the slope, then I need to use the slope and a point to plug it into slope-intercept form, and then I need to substitute my m and my b, okay? Okay, so if we are working with, I'm just gonna rewrite those points right here. You don't need to do this because you have them right in front of you, but I wanna be able to label them so that you can see it. So we have these 2 points, right? That's these 2 points. The first thing we're gonna do if we wanna put it into slope-intercept form is we wanna find the slope, because slope-intercept form needs a slope and it needs a y-intercept, okay? How do you find slope? With the formula. Y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1, okay? So you need to label your points. This is gonna be x1, y1. Does it matter if that's x2, y2? I don't know, but we're not talking about that right now. Does it matter if there's ones or twos? It doesn't matter as long as you keep the ones together and you keep the twos together, okay? You'll get the same answer. This is x2 and y2. So we're gonna plug it into the formula. It's gonna be y2, negative 8, minus y1, which is 1. And we're gonna put that over what? 5 minus 2. Does it matter right now if I go 2 minus 5? No. Yes, okay? If you're gonna go negative 8 minus 1, then you have to go back to that next same point that you started with and go 5 minus 2. Okay, so let's simplify that. Negative 8 minus 1 is negative 9. 5 minus 2 is 3. What's negative 9 over 3? Negative 3. Okay, so that's step 1, find the slope. We're gonna use that negative 3 in the rest of the problem. Then it says, use the slope and 1 point. They gave you 2 points, you're gonna use 1. You may use whichever one you want. You're gonna get the right answer either way. Usually there's 1 point that's a little easier to work with. So if I'm looking at this right now, I would pick, doesn't mean it's the right answer, but I would pick the 2, 1. They just seem like easier numbers to me than 5 and negative 8. They're smaller, there's no negative, so that's what I would pick, okay? Now let's think about slope-intercept form. Slope-intercept form is y equals mx plus b. We know an x, we know a y, and we know an m. That's what we're gonna do right now. Is plug those numbers in to figure out what b is. So we're trying to isolate b here, okay? So I'm gonna take 2, 1, and I'm gonna plug the 2 in here. I'm gonna plug the 1 in here, and I'm gonna plug the negative 3 in here, right? We know an x, we know a y, we know an m. So y, or 1, equals negative 3, our m, times our x, which is 2, plus b.
Wait, is there a certain order that you have to put those numbers in?
It has to be y equals mx plus b.
Okay.
Right? It has to go into this form.
Okay. Okay.
Okay? So now that you've written it down, just look at it one more time. I took the y from a point and put it here. I took the m, the slope we found, and put it here, and I took the x from that same point and put it here, okay? Now, all we have to do is solve for b. So if I simplify this, I get, I'm gonna go here with it, 1 equals what?
Negative 6.
-6 plus b. How do I solve for b right now?
You have to like subtract it.
You have to add 6, right? We wanna get b by itself, so move everything else out. So we get 7 is our b value. Okay? So now we have, they asked us in slope-intercept form. Well, in slope-intercept form, you need an m and a b. Do we have an m?
No.
What is it? -3. Do we have a b? 7. Okay? That's what you're going to plug in. You're going to substitute in on your third step here. You're going to say y equals m, -3, times x plus the b value. And that is your slope-intercept form. It's a long process.
This is a long lesson.
Okay? Questions on that? Okay, let's do another one. It's the same process. So you have 2 points, and we're going to put those 2 points into an equation for slope-intercept form. So I'm going to call this x1, y1, and this x2, y2. Okay, I highly recommend when you're doing the homework that you write the 2 points down and label them. Because if you write them down and label them, you don't make as many mistakes. Olivia, put your phone away, please. So in your setup, you're going to go y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. What is that? Give me numbers. -6 minus, okay, is it -2? It's minus -2, right? Minus a -2 over 5 minus 4. Yep, it will become plus. Okay, so if we simplify this, minus a negative is plus a positive, so -6 plus 2 is going to be -4. 5 minus 4 is 1, so -4 is my m. Oops. Okay, so we found m. Now we got to figure out what b is. How do we do that?
You plug in the stuff.
Plug in a point. Which point do you guys want to use?
5 and negative. Oh wait, whatever.
I would probably use 4 and -2 just because they're smaller numbers. But you can use the 5 and -6. If you want to do 5, -6, you go for it. Would it be what?
Would it be like much more harder?
No, it's not that it's harder. It's just you're going to get bigger numbers when you multiply by -6 than if you multiplied by -2.
Oh.
Right? Okay, so if we plug this in, y equals mx plus b. What is y? -2, right? We're just taking this, plugging it in here. So -2. What's m? -4. That's the slope we found. What is x? The 4. That's this one. And then plus b. Okay? What do we do now? Simplify. -2 equals, what is that? Not -8. -16. Right? Plus b. Okay, so we're going to add 16. What's -2 plus 16? 14. Okay, so now you have your b. Now what do you do?
Now we have to bring them both down.
Now you're going to plug them in. What does that look like?
Y equals 14.
-4, right? M first
Oh yeah.
plus 14. See, you guys got it. You don't get why what?
You see how, like, remember to know how x is 4?
Mm-hmm.
Why?
From up here. Right? We
I
just
know, but
picked a
where did it
point.
go?
Where did this 4 go? We just multiplied it, and it became -16.
But then,
We simplified.
but then it says, never mind.
I want to make sure you got it.
No, it's fine, I don't really care.
Well, I care.
It's fine. There was like a whole
Because there were people in here?
they were just staring at me. I was like,
I just didn't know.
Okay. Here we go. Now you're gonna graph. Okay, so yesterday you had a graph and you had to write an equation. Now they're gonna give you an equation and you have to put it on the graph. So you know how to do this, just in reverse, right? Okay, so if this is my equation, what are the two things we know?
We know 2 and 1.
Which are what?
M and B.
2 is M, -1
Is B.
is B, okay? Which one do you think you graph first?
2.
The -1, okay? Because here's the thing, 2, what?
Isn't this the one where you have to put like the 1 under the 2 since it's not a...
Yes.
I remember
It
this.
is. Okay, so this is the thing, guys. This, here, I wrote it down here in like bold. Always plot the y-intercept first, which feels backwards. Which feels backwards because it comes at the end, okay? So make sure you take this number and plot it first. Where do you go for a -1 y-intercept?
On the y, -1.
Down 1.
Down 1, okay? So you're gonna plot this point. That is this, okay? Then you need to do a slope of 2, and just like Serena said, 2 as a slope is rise over run. So 2 over what? 1. You don't want to change the number. 2 is 2 over 1. So from here, you're going to go up 2 over 1. And if I were you, I would do it a couple times just to get a nice straight line. Up 2 over 1. You don't have to. Technically, you only need 2 points to get a line. But your graph is going to be that line. Okay, now here's what I want to know. Does that make sense with the equation, 2x minus 1? Yes, my slope is positive, so I should be on my way up with my slope. Okay? All right, this one. What do I plot first?
2.
You don't have to do 3. Technically, you only have to do 2 points. But I just think it makes your line nice and straight if you do a couple more.
Miss Brandy should do like 8. Who? Oh,
Yeah,
Miss Brandy.
because it makes a nice
Yeah, she
line.
did, like somebody else like
Yeah. Okay, you may do as many as you want, but you don't have to do more than 2.
I like to know why, because she like forced in my brain to go back.
That's good. Go for it.
Like her, she always has like songs. To go with, like,
Yeah, what did you sing me the other day?
What is Y equal?
Oh, YMCA.
And
Yes.
there's one about the rise over runs.
How does it go?
Something about the distance up or down divided by the distance on the side. Rise over 1.
Slope, a slope song.
And there was a rise over run song.
That's what she's saying. Just, yeah.
Emma.
Okay, anyway, letter B.
Rise over run song.
Rise over run.
What are we plotting first? The 2. Where do you go for the 2? Okay, now let me tell you where some of you are going to make a mistake here so you can avoid being the person that makes the mistake here. It's really tempting with +2 to go here, but that is an x-intercept, right? +2 is a y-intercept, so you have to put it on this axis, okay? Y is the key, so this is y. So up 2, you're going to plot that point, and then your slope is -1/3. Where do you move for that?
Go down.
1 down, and 3 where? Always to the right. You will never go left.
Wait.
Okay?
But it's negative.
Right. Look at that slope.
Oh.
It's negative. The up and down is what gets you positive or negative.
Okay.
Right? Up is positive, down is negative.
Why didn't you put the
You will always go right. Hey. Shh. No more. No more. Okay. Last 2, and these ones are a little wordy, I know, but I wrote it all out for you, so easy peasy. It says water pressure can be measured in atmospheres, abbreviated ATM. Use the information in the diagram to write an equation that models the pressure Y at a depth of X meters. What graph models the pressure, okay? And this is what you're told. At 0 meters, the pressure is 1 atmosphere. And then the pressure increases by 0.1 atmospheres per meter, okay? Now here's the thing. This information when they say at 0 meters, they're saying when x is 0. Where is x 0?
In the middle.
Are you raising your hand?
No, I'm trying to put like the middle.
Oh, what do you mean in the middle?
Or
Like,
wait
in
for
the
the graph is
center.
abajo. Like on the right hand.
How about right here?
No.
Right? X is 0 anywhere on that line, right? So this, when x is 0, what they're giving you when they tell you x is 0 is they're giving you your y-intercept. Does that make sense? Okay? If x is 0, y is 1, they're saying. So you have a y-intercept. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to set this up. This is the pressure. This is your y value. The bottom is your depth in meters. Okay. And now this one is a little bit tricky. I promise I won't give you ones that are this tricky. But 0.1 per meter, rise over run, atoms per meter is giving you your slope. So your slope here is 0.1. Can someone tell me a different way to say 0.1? 1 what? What? Yes, 1/10, okay? That's how we want to look at this, 1/10, because that looks more like a slope, right? It's rise over run. Okay, so if our slope is 1/10, 1/10, and our y-intercept is 1, then the equation for the line would be y equals what? 1/10 x plus 1. Okay, so we're going to graph that. If this is 1, okay, because that's our y-intercept, we're going to count by ones here. Okay, but now think about what this is saying. 1/10. So for every time we go up 1, we're going over how far? 10, okay? I'm going to count by 10s then on my bottom because we need to go up 1 over 10, and that will just make more sense. So 10, 20, 30, 40, and so on. So if I want to graph this, I start at my y-intercept at plus 1, that's here, and now I'm going to go up 1 over 10. Up 1 over 10 is going to put me here. Up 1 over 10, up 1 over 10, up 1 over 10, which means I missed. Your graph looks like that. Okay?
Remember when during last year in math?
Any questions on that?
No. You have to go and check. I hate math.
Okay. Second one, and this one's easier. I'm fully believing that you guys can easy set up an equation for this. Here's what it says. A plumber charges a $65 fee for a repair plus $35 per hour. Okay? Write an equation to model the total cost of the repair that takes X hours, and then we're going to graph it. Does anyone think they can give me an equation for that? Y equals what?
Y equals
Plus what?
65x plus 35.
The other way.
35x plus 6.
35 times X, right? $35 per hour, X being hours, plus the $65 fee that they always charge for a visit. Okay? So this is your equation. And then we're going to do X was our hours. So we're going to put hours on the bottom. Y is our cost. Olivia, stop talking. What makes sense for hours? What numbers?
10. No, 5.
Count by fives? You'd only count by ones, right? Because they might come for an hour, they might come for 2 hours, they might come for 3 hours.
Okay.
So just think if a repair guy were to come, what makes sense in terms of hours? So you want to count by ones here, okay? And then your total cost. And now for this one, there's a lot of things you could count by. Because our numbers are going to jump up pretty quickly, I would probably do the zigzag here and start at 60. Yeah, we'll start at 65. Okay? Because that's what this number is going to be. What is this called? your y-intercept, right? Okay, so I'm gonna make that our starting spot. And then from there, you can count by a lot of different things. How about if we count by, what do you wanna count by? 35? 35 would be easy. By what? By 5? You're not gonna be able to plot a whole lot of points if you count by, yeah, you could. Yeah, let's do 10. So 75, 85, 95, 105, 115, 125, and you can keep going if you want. Okay, so if we're gonna graph this, 65 is our y-intercept. That's gonna go right here, okay? Then from there, we need to go up 35 over how many?
1.
Over 1. So if I go up 35, that's 10, 20, 35, right? And over 1 would put me right there. Okay? Now do it again, but this one you have to be careful because we're in the middle of 1. So if I go up 10, 20, 35, and over 1, then I'm going to be right here. Okay, so my graph looks like this. Does that make sense? Okay. That's what you're doing for today. More slope-intercept.